This video reflection examines the process to find the next steps that will help alleviate a chronic problem troubling a fifth-year youth pastor. To help us, we will be using Osmer's 4 steps of practical theology to find a pragmatic solution to the problem. In our first step, the descriptive step, we put ourselves in the place of this youth minister as he prepares to take his growing numbers of youth to the denomination's summer church camp. However, on the surface, the camp may have suspect or deficient policies regarding children with dietary needs, especially those with food allergies. The problem seems to involve camp food, but it goes beyond the normal gripes and complaints of typical campers. Specifically, we know the kitchen staff has negative attitudes toward campers with dietary needs, and that's based upon witness by the youth pastor and the campers. However, we are not sure if the kitchen staff's negative attitudes stem from the lack of sufficient policies regarding campers with food allergies, or if the kitchen staff is ignoring policies that might already be in place. Further, we are not sure if the kitchen staff is undertrained in these special dietary matters, as outlined by the American Camp Association. Regardless, efforts to communicate with Scott, the camp director, regarding this problem have been dismissed on 3 occasions. Now, Samantha, a parent whose children have food allergies, is creating doubts with other parents in the church regarding the quality and the safety of the camp. In the second step, the interpretive step, we discovered that food allergies are a major national health problem. Persons that have food allergies have more than doubled over the past 10 years to 1 in every 13 children, and another 2.3 million in adults. We also discovered that some courts have ruled that food allergies fall under the heading of other health impairments as listed in the Americans with Disabilities Act. Therefore, in a social model of disability, a person with food allergies could be considered disabled. This could have strong implications in making policy decisions for Camp Hope in the future. Proponents of the disabilities social model are now labeling or phrasing persons with food impairments. However, for the layperson, whether we label this impairment or not, Disabilities are usually not pleasant or comfortable situations for many people to discuss. This is usually when stereotypes manifest. Then the person with disability. In Osmer's third step, the normative step, we examine what the relationship with God and those with food disabilities should look like in this church camp situation. We read in Genesis 1:27 that all life is sacred because we are made in the image of God. Therefore, we have every reason to value and respect all of God's creation. It is through this view of hope that all people should be seen for their gifts and be given the same rights as any other person. Young emphasizes this thought in his three basic elements that inform his disability hermeneutic. Specifically, all of us, including the disabled, are created in the imago Dei. Further, he states that persons with theologically speaking, it is also about the concept of being welcoming to the whole person for who they are. In other words, it's a modern day issue of hospitality. Hospitality, through the acts of welcoming and accepting people with disabilities into church activities, are not only intended by human nature, it is also the reason for the church's very existence. If a church is defined as a community, this is when the theology of Botha, with its feature of interconnectedness, expressed through acts of hospitality and love, becomes the local expression of the theology of koinonia. Both Botha and koinonia provide innovative lenses through which people with disabilities should be able to occupy their rightful places within human society and with church and within the church activity. In evaluating the first three steps, we are now ready to formulate Osmer's pragmatic step for Camp Hope. Jesus set a standard for all of us in regard to our interaction with children in Matthew 19:14, saying, "Let the little children come to me, and do not hinder them, for to such belongs the kingdom of heaven." In this light, the next step that must be considered is the food allergy predicament between Samantha the mother and Scott the camp director and his staff. Where children and safety are concerned, being proactive, open to learning, and putting safety first is of the utmost importance. Each party must be willing to be adaptable and realize it is better to be too cautious than not cautious enough. The Catholic Bishop Coignet states that dietary issues in his church family made him realize that care and concern to the people who are suffering comes well before turning to theology and doctrine. However, it is through the practical and the theological that our answers usually manifest. Efforts to meet with all parties separately have not been productive in the past.